Tonight on The ReidOut.
How long will you watch people being gunned down in first grade, fourth grade, high school, college, church, synagogue, a grocery store, a movie theater, a mall, and a nightclub, and do nothing?
Congresswoman Val Demings shredded Marco Rubio on the debate stage last night as Florida becomes the emblem of the rot on the right. Also tonight, Donald Trump under oath, deposed today in E. Jean Carroll's defamation case. And we could be just hours away from the delivery of that subpoena from the January 6th committee. Plus, incredible new reporting on the man Barack Obama, President Obama, warned Trump about, Michael Flynn and his holy war on America. And Rachel Maddow is going to join me tonight. Very excited about that. Have you caught her amazing new podcast yet? We are going to get an exclusive preview of episode 4 of Ultra, and we've got much more to talk about with the great Rachel Maddow. But we begin tonight with Florida, which I would argue, even with Texas existing, has emerged as the modern state in this country that comes the closest to a modern-day version of Jim Crow. Now, just hear me out. If there is a state that better exemplifies the rot of MAGA Republican rule than the state of Florida that the governor has named in very Orwellian fashion the free state of Florida, I honestly don't know where it is, don't know what it is. I mean, Florida has it all. A law banning gay people from declaring their existence at school. Teachers can actually get fired for it. A law against anti-racist policies at work, like you have to let the racism be in the workplace or else. Book bans and requirements for patriotic Christian education propaganda in public schools. And of course, a concerted effort to make it as hard as possible for anyone who might vote for the out-of-power party, the Democrats, #Black people, to vote or to have representative districts. Florida's Jim Crow Redux governor, Ron DeSantis, even has his own Office of Election Crimes. Newly released and frankly disturbing video shows Tampa police back in August arresting people on charges of illegal voting in the 2020 election.
So, ma'am, we have a warrant for your arrest.
For what?
For voter fraud.
Good, how are you, sir?
Right.
Boss, how's it going?
Oh, my God. Hold on.
Wait.
Let me tell my husband.
We're telling him. He's right here.
Right here. So if you can put your hands on your back, please.
Oh, my God.
Do not move.
Ultimately, ma'am, you have a warrant? Okay. The warrant. Hold on, listen. I know you caught off guard. I understand. Right? So you have a warrant. It's for voter fraud, okay?
I voted fraud. I voted, but I ain't commit no fraud.
Well, so that's the thing. I don't know exactly what happened with it, but you do have a warrant. That's what it's for. Okay?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened with that, but you do have a warrant. Apparently, I guess you have a warrant?
For what?
I'm not sure.
For voter stuff, man.
For voters.
It's what it is. I think the agents with FDLE talked to you last week about some voter fraud, voter stuff, when you weren't supposed to be voting, maybe.
Voter fraud.
Let's walk over to my car,
Why is y'all doing this now and this happened years ago?
I don't know. I have no idea, man.
This is crazy, man. Yes, sir.
We're going to go over to the hood of my car, and I got to search you, okay?
What is wrong with this state, man? What are you talking about? Voter fraud. Y'all saying anybody with family can vote, man. What you mean I couldn't vote?
Solid question posed by Tony Patterson, one of the 20 individuals with felony convictions arrested on charges of voter fraud, many of whom had no idea they were not allowed to vote. And to be clear, that is because Ron DeSantis and his Republican cronies in the state legislature have done everything in their power to reverse the clock back to the 19th century. In 2018, Florida voters overwhelmingly approved an amendment reversing one of several Jim Crow-era laws in southern states and restoring voting rights for those with a felony conviction, except those convicted of murder or of a felony sex offense. More than 1 million Floridians got their right to vote back. But in 2019, the Republican state legislature stepped in and passed legislation requiring those citizens to pay associated fees or fines before regaining their voting rights. Basically, a big fat poll tax, which, of course, DeSantis happily signed into law. That law, which was upheld by a federal court in 2020, put a price on voting for thousands of disproportionately Black, brown, and low-income white Floridians that can run as high as $50,000 in some cases. In fact, in 2020. Celebrities like LeBron James, Michael Bloomberg, and others contributed millions of dollars to help cover those fees and restore thousands of people's right to vote. So naturally, DeSantis asked his attorney general to investigate the donations, saying that helping people pay their poll tax was an illegal incentive to vote. Meanwhile, those Floridians hauled off in handcuffs this summer didn't even know they weren't legally allowed to vote. Some of them showed police their voter registration cards that they'd received when they applied for them. The Tampa Bay Times found, unsurprisingly, that those arrested for illegal voting have nearly all been black or registered Democrats. Ta-da! Meanwhile, in the mostly white, heavily Republican community called the Villages, 3 Trump supporters who have admitted to voting multiple times for Trump were ordered to complete community service and take civics classes. And with that, their debt to society will be paid. See, when you vote the right way, even multiple times, you're good. And if Florida is the perfect emblematic state for MAGAism and the current Republican Party, well, incumbent Republican Senator Marco Rubio is the perfect avatar. Here is what he said when he was asked about how hard it is to vote in the state of Florida.
There's danger involved in drop boxes. People need to think about it. Okay, imagine someone decides, oh, there's a drop box. I'm just going to put some explosive in it and blow it up and burn all of those ballots, and now those votes don't count at all.
Right. I mean, what if aliens beam up the drop boxes? I mean, how are you going to count the votes then? They'll be in an alien ship. And it only got worse from there, as Congresswoman Val Demings called him out on his history of morphing into whatever rotten party position that he thinks will get him power.
She's never passed a single bill. She's been in Congress for over half a decade. She's never passed a bill, not PPP, not anything.
That's not true. I know the senator, look, and I'm really disappointed in you, Marco Rubio, because I think there was a time when you did not lie in order to win. I don't know what happened to you. Our primary responsibility is the safety of Floridians. And Senator, 24 years in elected office, and you have not yet risen to that occasion. And then when asked about it, you say something that makes no sense.
The truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, that Americans have a Second Amendment right to protect themselves. The extremist on abortion in this campaign is Congresswoman Demings. She supports no restrictions, no limitations of any kind.
As a police detective who investigated cases of rape and incest, no, Senator, I don't think it's okay for a 10-year-old girl to be raped and have to carry the seed of her rapist. No, I don't think it's okay for you to make decisions for women and girls.
Joining me now is Charles Blow, New York Times columnist and MSNBC political analyst, and Adrienne Elrod, former senior aide on the Biden, Harris, and Clinton-Kaine campaigns. And I know Adrienne is jumping out of her skin to talk about Val Demings, but I'm going to start with you, Charles Blow. You have the disadvantage of not being here at the table with us, because I have to talk about Florida in general. I mean, that video of those police officers, in some cases reluctantly arresting black folks for voting. To me, this is not even just about them or about the guys in the Villages who admitted to multiple voting and voting fraud getting off the hook. It's about Florida trying to send a message, let's just be clear, to the 1+ million folks who got their voting rights back. You can't vote here. Your votes aren't welcome here. If you're black, if you're brown, if you're poor, if you're not going to vote for Republicans, your votes aren't welcome here. Your thoughts?
Yes, I think we all have to remember that voter suppression has never been about just one thing. Yes, it is about district hacking and gerrymandering of districts and drawing away minority districts. Yes, it is about eliminating people from the voting rolls by purging. Yes, it is also about making sure that people who have particular kinds of ID or don't have those particular kinds of ID have a harder time voting. And also it is about what you see in this video, which is actually terror.